In today's Culture Express, from Pharrell Williams to One Republic, the very first Grammy Festival is held in Beijing, and we give you an all-access look. Asian Americans are slowly taking over the silver screen, but is the support from fellow Asian Americans enough to make a dent in the box office? And we go to South Africa's Karoo Desert to take a look at this year's wildly wonderful Africa Burn Festival. That and more coming up next. Hello, welcome to Culture Express on CGTN. I'm Julian Walken in Beijing. Thank you for joining us. It's festival season around the world, from Coachella in LA to Glastonbury in England. Now, Beijing is getting on the map as it hosted the very first Grammy Festival. Thousands of people flooded into the city's southwest to see the international superstars perform. CGTN's Jenny Cortez Ibanez was given an all-access pass to the show and mingle with the stars. Take a look.
9 international acts, 2 stages and 1 goal: to bring exceptional music and culture together in one place. And the chosen destination for this historic event, Changyang Music Theme Park in the capital. The Recording Academy, known for the prestigious Grammy Awards, joined forces with Bravo Entertainment China to provide audiences a new world-class live music experience by producing the first ever Grammy Festival. The lineup included 11-time Grammy Award winner Pharrell Williams, Carly Rae Jepsen, James Bay, Phoenix, Macy Gray and One Republic.
Between the lineup that's happening today, we're pretty ecstatic about it. And I think it's also an important connection between China and the U.S. Grammys is a very, started as a U.S.-oriented thing, but now it's become a global scale. And I think that doing festivals like this, where artists are hopping across the Pacific, I think it's just an indicator of how much smaller the world is getting.
There were also performances from 2 megastars here in China, Nicholas Cher and William Chan. And there was American musician Daya, who at 18 years old won a Grammy for Best Dance Recording for a hit song with the Chainsmokers, Don't Let Me Down.
I've never performed here, so I think it's just like, I love experiencing new cultures, I love meeting new people, and I want to see what the Chinese fans bring to the stage, to the show.
Each act performed for 40 to 70 minutes back-to-back, and surprisingly, everything pretty much ran on time, which usually is not the case with major concerts. The event was held during a public holiday here in China, and so over 40,000 festival goers were expected to attend, although the exact count has yet to be confirmed.
I first heard the news about this festival being held in China from my friends and family. The performances that I want to see the most are Pharrell Williams, One Republic and Carly Rae Jepsen. I'm just very excited to see all these singers that I like come here to this festival.
Not many people believed or knew that this global event was actually going to happen, and why it would come to China first. So it seems like it's not only world leaders and top businessmen that want to have a slice of the large market pie the country has to offer, but also the music industry.
The organisers of this event have told me that they've secured 4 more Grammy festivals to happen in this country and are now looking into different cities to host it in. So this monumental music extravaganza, which first took place here in the city, will definitely not be the first and last here in China. Jenny Cortez Ibanez, CGTN, Beijing.
Joining me in the studio right now is Marco Reels, the Senior Vice President of Bravo Entertainment. The company is a leading organizer of global music events and is responsible for bringing the Grammy Festival to China. And also we have musician Zhang Ling, a frequent guest at music festivals in China. Zhang Ling has formed the very first rock band in Beijing back in the 1980s and is credited with bringing blues music to China for the very first time. Welcome. But both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Pharrell Williams, One Republic, and James Bay, and the first Grammy Festival in China. Marco, what was it like when you actually saw it finally happening?
Yeah, it was after 2 years working with the team, we finally make it happen. It was a really hard job after that. 2 years working with Grammy together in order to bring this brand to China. Mainly was quite difficult at the beginning because it was very long time until we announced in August last year. Nobody was believing about this because it was saying kind of difficult to Grammy, which is very established in the US, come to China. Finally, we make it. Thanks God, everything was good. About 20,000 people came to the show. At 2 p.m. was already crowd. Daya was enjoying a lot, which is the first artist who was playing. And yeah, all the artists was really happy after the show. So everything was great, thanks God.
And a lot of people don't know that your company was actually the one who initiated this idea of bringing the Grammy Festival to China, of having this Grammy Festival, first of all, because this is the first time the festival has taken place in the world.
Yeah, actually, we came with the idea to Grammy about 2 years ago to the Recording Academy. They didn't believe too much about it. They were saying that was quite crazy. And yeah, after 2 years working with them, we present the idea to them. They really try to create a new idea in order to pitch, in order to get Chinese audience into Grammy. That was the main idea of this. And yeah, we come with this idea, they like it, and here we are now, pitching for another 4 years.
Well, how fantastic is that? Ling, how excited were you as a musician about seeing all these Grammy-winning artists on the same stage in China at the same time?
Well, I think, first of all, I think it's a great idea to having a Grammy festival as opposed a concert. You know, the festival is it's for everyone to cheer, just to be there and to experience the whole thing. You know, and the music. I think for me, I think I like the idea. You know, I want to be there. You know, the thing is I have to play on the same day, so it's pity. But I wish to go all the way to the best condition, and I'd like to see one shows. Maybe in the future I'll be there. One of your concert. But the festival is really going strong in China now. I think it's going to the right place and the way it's supposed to be. So I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Well, you didn't get to see the festival because you were performing at the Strawberry Music Festival, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was a huge one, actually, I can say. It's a huge one. Many stages, a lot of people. I play the other one, Strawberry Festival, in a few years back. So it was it was great too. But this one is bigger, so I can see it's getting bigger and bigger. A lot of people, more and more people come to the festival.
This one, meaning the Strawberry Music Festival this year, is bigger than before.
Oh yeah.
And how would you say, aside from the size of the festival, how else would you say it has changed? Maybe the artists who were present. How do you think it has changed over the years?
In Strawberry Festival, it's mainly for local Chinese act, but some big names, some really popular act here, and also some very creative artists, very, very talented in music. So you can see the big names, and also you got to see not so big name, but very talented people there. So it's a good balance. Okay. It's I think, and also that's the idea of a local festival, because the only core energy come from local talents. That's really important. So you got to help the local talent to be able to have a long-term run. So I think that's very important. Yeah.
So it's a mixture of local artists and international artists at the Strawberry, whereas the Grammy Festival is mainly the Grammy artists on the Grammy stage.
Yeah.
But in terms of, what kind of gap is the Grammy filling in the Chinese music scene?
When we create the idea to Recording Academy to bring Grammy to China, the idea was fill the empty space of international great festival that have China with big artists. Because if you see, for example, we have Strawberry with a very long career, mainly with Chinese artists, but there is nothing that can fill that gap between the crowd. And the crowd was asking about something big from outside. Then we also come with the idea to say, let's bring something big outside and let's put at the same time something big inside. That's why we invite William and Nicholas, which they really feel very good, that empty space, which we was having in Grammy. So yeah, that's the idea. The idea is bring something international big into China. That's the main idea why we bring this one here. So we can combine both culture, the Western and China. That's the idea. The idea is bring everything, bring China to show to the world that we can make something like how they are making as well.
And it's obvious that there's a big appetite for the international music scene culture here in the country. Well, if you're just joining us right now, we're talking about the first ever Grammy Festival, which happened on Monday in Beijing. The lineup included international superstars Pharrell Williams, OneRepublic, and James Bay. CGTN reporter Jenny Cortez-Ibani has talked to some of the performers before the event. Yesterday, we spoke to Grammy award-winning artist Daya, who even sang a few lines of her single Hideaway for us. And today, we catch up with Canadian pop sensation Carly Rae Jepsen, whose huge hits include Call Me Maybe and I Really Like You.
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe.
Nice to meet you.
First ever Grammy Festival.
Yes.
So what is it like being part of it?
Being a part of something that is like the first ever award show or a sort of award festival will be kind of, I think, one for the books. Yeah.
Historical, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have any other future projects that, you know, here in China that we should know about?
Here in China, I mean, for everywhere, China included, I have my new album that I'm working on. So it's not set yet for like when I'm releasing it, but I am looking forward to finally having that baby finished and then I'm ready to share. And then hopefully that in turn brings us back to China for a tour. That would be the dream.
So you mentioned your new album. Is it true that you can write over 80 songs for just an album? And if so, like how do you pick and choose which songs will make the album?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a low number, actually. I do overwrite, and I overwrite because I mean, there's probably a lot of reasons to it, but I think the main one is that I sort of like having options. I like kind of looking at how to make an album cohesive, also what's sort of standing out among the rest, and I think I would always have question marks in my brain if I only wrote like the exact number of songs and didn't kind of push myself to see if I could write something that beat those ones, you know? So I'm at the process now of trying to select it down to the top, whatever, 15 or so, and I definitely have over probably like 120 songs for this album alone that I need to pick from. So it's going to be a challenge, yeah.
It's a good challenge.
It's a good challenge. Thank you. I like your attitude about it. Yeah.
A lot of your songs have to do with love. Is that coming from your experiences, personal experiences? Does that help with music? Does that inspire you for new music?
Well, I think I just really like cutting to like emotions with music, like the real ones, and all of the real emotions are based around love. And it doesn't mean just like euphoric, happy, butterfly love. It's also like heartbreak, and it doesn't even have to be romantic all the time. It can be real friend love. But I just have tried countless times to write about other things, but nothing fascinates me more. So I keep coming back to my main subject. What else do you want to accomplish? I definitely have ideas of like cool little side projects that would be really fun. And I've talked to a couple of people about future ideas, but it's hard to be anything but tunnel vision when you've been working on an album for 2 years. So I would say the future idea of maybe one day looking at like doing a pop musical, that would be a really cool thing to do. And I definitely have some friends who've had like wine and dinner parties and talked about how that would look, because I think that all of us, at least in that group, are like secretly geeky musical theater lovers, like to the core. So that would be a fun one-day venture, yeah.
I have to ask, have you learned any Chinese while being here?
We had a full spreadsheet. I learned I love you, but it's slipping my mind now. How do I say?
I'm like the wrong person to ask. I don't even know myself. Help. I love you in Chinese.
我爱你们. There you go. I love you.
Amazing. And yes, what's your message to your Chinese fans here in China and around the world?
Well, 我爱你们. Yeah, there you go. That's number one. And you know, thank you for having us back and always greeting us with such warmth. It's just one of the most exciting trips to get to come to. Yeah.
Well, it's good to have her here in China. You know, when I talked to her 3 years ago, she told me that she gets a lot of her ideas and she writes her songs on the planes or she's traveling around the world. So I know that when she comes over this time, she's not only performing at the festival, but she probably is writing new songs as she comes on the plane. So my question for you, Marco, then is, how did the idea of the first Grammy Festival in China come about?
Well, that was quite crazy. It was about 2 years ago. We have the problem how to mix Chinese culture, Asian culture with Western culture. And then, yeah, the team came up to me about 2 years ago saying, we plan to make this. I say, it's quite crazy how you plan to do it, guys. And they, yeah, and after that we present this idea to Grammy. They really like the idea. They like the idea mainly in the part that say, it's the only part of the world that we never went there. So it's kind of a good way to start something. And yeah, then it's coming a question like, how do you plan to mix Western culture with Grammy, which is focusing mainly in Grammy? If you see all of the winner Grammy, they're all Western, there are no Asians, almost no Asians. How do we plan to mix this one with China? I mean, it's kind of difficult that. Then yeah, came up some very good ideas which convinced Grammy to make this one. And yeah, last year we announced in August, if I'm not wrong, Neil Porter came here. He's really happy to make this one. We just got some feedback from United States that was really great. So yeah, thanks God everyone is happy now. We was, I think, so in the website of Grammy, some congratulations or something like that. So yeah, everything was pretty cool and pretty crazy at the beginning. But now we can see that of course can be happen.
I can imagine. And the response has been really positive.
Yeah, it was really good.
Ling, you've been in the industry here in China for decades. For you, is there a huge fan base for such musical events in China?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm really positive about this thing, this one. I think, and it's still growing actually. You know, look at it. Where you go for young people, like for holidays, we have so many holidays here, public holidays here. Where you go, right? What you do, and music festivals. It's a great place to be there. You know, to hang out with friends. You know, to enjoy some music, and yeah, it's just great. You know, so I think the market definitely will have a huge market for it, and also for the years to come, it's getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, I have no doubt about it. Yeah.
And what are the Chinese music consumers like nowadays?
Well, it's big, but I think it's still in an educational stage because this is new, very new. You know, and not many kids are musically trained, you know, or properly trained. But they like music, you know, everybody love music. But I mean, it needs some education for them to know deeper about music.
To cultivate their...
Yeah, exactly. And that takes time. And also the lifestyle is like a marriage or two persons in love. You know, the first sight is always exciting, you know, it's real. But then, you know, what's then, right? You got to keep it up and to work on it. So it's the same thing, you know. It's so I guess, you know, I'm saying we have a long way to go. That's why I'm saying for good quality event like the Grammy Festival being here, it's a good competition. I think it creates a good environment for all festivals in China. It's gonna help everyone to you know, experience better and to get better.
So both for the Chinese audience, but also for the Chinese artists as well.
Yeah, overall.
Yeah, of course.
Marco, now the first Grammy Festival has already taken place here in China, and we've seen Chinese artist Nicholas Z and also William Chan performing. How were they chosen for this festival?
This idea is coming mainly from United States. We need to have a local face into this in order to bring Grammy into China. Because you know that China culture, Chinese culture is kind of very close outside China. Nobody know that. I mean, not nobody know. Everyone know that. Of course, the heritage that have China, but in music, nobody know about music, about Chinese music. So the idea of add the Chinese artists is to complement that part from Western to East.
Well, of course, we look forward to seeing more Chinese artists on the Grammy stage as well. Thank you guys for joining us today and for your insights.
Thanks for inviting.
You are watching Culture Express on CGTN. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us. That's it. you're like... Now, still ahead on Culture Express, Hollywood is seeing more and more diversity in both blockbuster films and in movie theaters across the United States. Plus, this year's Africa Burn Festival wraps up in South Africa. Artists, musicians, and performers showcase their talents in a semi-desert environment.
At 4 years old, Xu Zhong was already a prodigy.
They put one finger to the piano, 2 notes and 3 notes, 4 notes together, but I can tell them exactly the tonality, the sound.
He's won many renowned international piano competitions, but taking 4th place at the Tchaikovsky competition was still a disappointment.
This is all my father's dream. Until today, 30 years difference, but still he tell me,
you didn't get the first prize.
You didn't get the
You
first
disappointed
prize.
me.
You disappointed
You let me down.
You need to prove me again.
You need to go back to Tchaikovsky.
I can't.
At 26, he stepped down from the piano and picked up a conductor's baton. He is the first Asian artistic director of an Italian opera house.
The sound of the piano is not enough for me. I need more sound. I need more big sound. I have a thirsty about the sound.
He is the head director of the Shanghai Opera House. Stay tuned to Icon with Xu Zhong.
And you're watching Culture Express on CGTN. As more and more Asian faces are appearing in blockbusters, more and more Asian Americans are filling the cinema seats. CGTN's Mei Li reports from Los Angeles.
Slowly but surely, Hollywood is making progress with better representation. Just in the past year, some of the biggest films with huge box office receipts featured women and people of color. Black Panther, with its mostly black cast, has so far grossed $1.3 billion worldwide since its release in February.
You get to decide.
But it's not just what's happening in the movies that's changing. The makeup of movie audiences is also becoming more colorful. According to a recent report by the Motion Picture Association of America, Hispanic Latino filmgoers went to see the movies the most in 2017, an average 4.5 times per capita. But Asians are a close second. They headed to theaters 4.3 times. African Americans ranked third at 3.4, and Caucasians went 3.2 times.
Although the Asian population is still small here in the U.S. at 6% compared to 18% for Latinos and 12% for African Americans, the frequency of Asian moviegoers is a trend that cannot be ignored by Hollywood, especially since Asians are the fastest growing racial group in the country.
Combine that with the fact that younger people, which the U.S. Census Bureau found is the most diverse generation, are more likely to go to the movies than Americans over 40.
With studios turning out blockbuster after blockbuster year after year, it seems like for the last couple years, we're seeing a much younger audience come to the movies. And therefore, really across all ethnic groups, they still want an escape. They still see movies as being a great experience.
The MPAA report also found the most popular movie among Asian filmgoers in 2017 was Spider-Man: Homecoming. The co-star of the blockbuster hit is Filipino actor Jacob Batalon.
You're on the ceiling.
Legendary actor George Takei believes representation is a must, but also says the Asian community needs to step up and support fellow Asians in every field of entertainment.
I go see an August Wilson, an African-American playwright, play, and I look around the audience. You see a dominant African-American presence. I go see a Philip Kangotanda play. I look around, just a sprinkling of Asian faces. We as a community if we see David Henry Hwang's play being done with an Asian American cast, maybe an Asian American director, we need to be visibly present there.
Asians will get that chance to support an all-Asian movie this August when the much-anticipated best-selling book-turned-movie Crazy Rich Asians comes out. A slew of big names star in the film, including Constance Wu and Michelle Yeoh. And it's directed by Chinese-American John Chu. Mei Li, CGTN, Los Angeles.
This year's Africa Burn Festival has just concluded in the Karoo Desert in South Africa. Now in its 11th year, the event brings together artists, musicians, and performers in every genre to showcase their talents. Modeled on the American Burning Man Festival, participants construct temporary artworks in a semi-desert environment, some of which are burned at the end of the event. Susan Mongoli reports.
Dripped in colorful costumes and full of energy, thousands of people have taken part in this year's event. All of them seeking to experience an environment far removed from their normal routine.
I did everything myself. It took me about 3 months to get the inspirations and do the work. And yeah, so it was really nice to prepare everything, and then that we can wear it here today. It's like the best reward for all the work.
Africa Ban is affiliated with Nevada's Burning Man Festival. It is run on several guiding principles, including participation. Some describe it as a giant sandpit for adults to play around it.
The world is full of a lot of noise and restrictions, and there are very few free places where you can be what you want to be, and this is one of those places. So we are not surprised that so many people find it to be the right experience for them.
No money exchanges hands at the festival. Everything is either given or received.
There's no money for a week. You don't have to worry about what you can pay and what you can't pay. So everybody's gifting. Some people give music, some people give art, some people give cappuccino.
Well, I've been here 6 years now, and the reason why we come is because, like you said, it's a utopia. It's a utopia in the desert where you get to live freely, you get to be your best self, you get to love one another. It's the way human beings should live.
And when it's all over, nothing is left behind. Huge bonfires take place on the last few nights. All the artworks and the garbage generated at the festival goes up in flames, leaving no trace that anyone was ever there. Susan Mongoli, CGTN.
And that's it for today's Culture Express. Before we go, I'll leave you with a trailer to the latest video game, Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm Julian walking in Beijing. Stay tuned for more CGTN news coming up.
You have to love yourself a fire. It's one of the blessings. Sure, we can have fire. And we can have the knowledge of fire. But with that comes the knowledge of everything. Gentlemen, this is a robbery.
Sons of Dutch. Makes us brothers. Sometimes brothers make mistakes.
You'll never change. I know that.
All of you venerate savagery. And you will die savagely.
Get out here! Stay strong. Stay with me. You have to love yourself a fire. We don't want to kill any of you, but trust me, we will. Wake them up a little. We're more ghosts than people. You have got to keep faith. They will not crush us.
Good old Dutch. My best friend. You know how we met? Pair of hucksters.
This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
"15 killed in an ISIL bombing in Libya. The international community condemns the attack. Sudan is assessing its participation in the Saudi-led war in Yemen. And AMISOM's chief speaks on the progress made in the